in the city. For more on this, let's bring in Eric Adams, former challenger in the race for New York's mayor and founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa. Curtis, welcome back to Wake Up America. We appreciate you coming in to talk to us today.
Oh, hey, I warned you.
Yeah,
you did. I warned you about this guy. He's a fugazi, and now everybody's saying, oh, you were right, Sliwa, you were right. Well, too late. Now we're stuck with this guy for 4 years.
So I was talking to you during the break. I think a lot of people were hopeful that Eric Adams coming in, former police officer, he knows what it takes to get crime down. He's worked with police departments, obviously, but we haven't seen a change at all.
Well, he's not spending time with the police. He's with the trendoids, freakazoids, jet setters, zero bond, club to the wee hours of the morning, customized suits, Ferragamo shoes. That should tip everybody off that the swagger man never had a crime-fighting plan. Never. And notice, who would have ever thought the crime would be worse under Eric Adams than it was under Bill de Blasio, who single-handedly took a wrecking ball and destroyed the city that we love over.
So let me ask you that. Do you think that's just the embers still sort of simmering post Bill de Blasio? Because we're only 120 days into Eric Adams in New York City. And the trend is not unique to New York City. It's happening in small towns and big cities across the country right now.
Yeah, but you have to have focus. You can't be in LA. Right? You can't be sitting there with Jay-Z and Beyonce and Jamie Foxx laughing to Dave Chappelle. It's like, hey, guy, your problem is here. Crawl down into the belly of the beast, the subways. He's not doing that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Dave Chappelle because, the DA there is basically, he wanted, charges to be less for this man who allegedly attacked him. We've got DAs who are soft on crime and right here in New York. Police feel that they're just rearresting people because they're back on the streets. And we see a lot of these major crimes happen from people who have been arrested before.
Sure, the predicate offenders. You know what you do? You take away all the security that these DAs have. No armed police, right? See what it's like going out there amongst the peeps. You see, they live in a secluded world. They're protected from everything that average, everyday people have to deal with. And that DA in LA, right, he's up for another recall election.
Yeah.
But isn't he being fair? He's applying the same standards to the trendoids that he's applying to the average, everyday people in the streets. So they elected him in Hollywood. You can live with him.
400,000 signatures on that petition to recall.
Yeah, it reminds me of what happened with Governor Gavin Newsom there. Of course, he won his recall election, so he's still governor, up for re-election in the fall. So when you were running, and I thought this was the most simplistic way to boil down what the problems are in New York City and how to solve them. You said we need more police officers on the street, on the beat, in the subway, at the airports, everywhere, not only so residents and people that work in the city see them, and this holds true for cities across the country, but also so tourists feel comfortable coming here. Nobody wants to go to Times Square. Why isn't Eric Adams, a former police officer, doing that?
Well, because it goes against the grain and narrative. You need 6,000 additional cops, and there's money to get. You go to Columbia University, NYU, they pay no property taxes, and yet they keep gobbling up all kinds of property in their vicinities. Madison Square Garden, no property tax. If all of a sudden they pay their fair share, you'll have more than enough money to hire these cops. But even if they had the money, they wouldn't hire the cops. Because what do they want to do? Defund the police, defund prisons, create anarchy. And what happens? There's an exodus. There's a massive exodus out of the area. You mentioned California. People are leaving in droves. New York, New Jersey, people are leaving in droves.
Yeah, you mentioned that. So the patrolling force of the NYPD is down about 34,000 officers due to budget cuts, retirement. I mean, you talk to police officers. What's the morale of the department? And I can only imagine, not only is it in New York, but some of these big cities and even small towns that are getting defunded and don't have the support of the DA.
Oh, yeah. Well, in New York City, I can tell you from personal experience, because a lot of my former Guardian Angels are cops. Morale at an all-time low because this mayor does not have their back. Perfect example, the other week. Instead of taking responsibility for the rising crime in the subway, he blamed the cops. He said, I want you citizens to go out there and take their picture and send it to me, and I'm going to go down to their precinct, I'm going to... It's like, hey, guy, how are you going to raise the morale of your police? The police are the ones who have to provide public safety. Not you traveling to L.A. to be with Dave Chappelle instead of fighting crime.
Curtis, 10 seconds. Is this an issue come midterm elections? 6 months, a long time from now. Is this still a big issue 6 months from now?
Oh, law and order all over the country. It's a huge issue, and the Democrats have been $1 short and a day late. and they deserve to lose in the midterm elections over this.
All right, founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa, thanks so much for joining us in-house. We appreciate it. Good to see you. We've got a lot more coming up this morning on Wake Up America. A pair of news